Welcome to the Biz Gone Social Podcast. We help entrepreneurs navigate how to get known, get customers, and get the edge over their competition. Here is your host, Lorraine Duncan.
So here we are with episode 41, and I'm so glad to be here. And my promise to you, as always, is I want to give you a little bit of verbal caffeine that will energize your social media marketing and help you stay social. Because after all, don't you want to be the business that everyone's talking about? Because I know I do. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about podcasts. And I asked a lot of my friends and people I know, colleagues that are doing podcasts. I asked them maybe their favorite thing they like to do or what are they doing. And I thought it would be a good idea because a lot of you out there are thinking of starting a podcast. And I don't think that starting a podcast is something you should think about lightly or think about doing lightly. It's a very serious commitment. And so I talked to somebody who said that the most important thing is to really get noticed on iTunes. And that's hard. So you've got to really work at it. And the other thing that I talked to a few people and they always said to leverage their guests. So if you have a guest, make sure that they're promoting the podcast that they're going to be on. If you're thinking about launching, and this is from me because I didn't do it, I only launched one podcast at a time, but all the experts out there say that you should launch about at least 3 or 4 episodes. This way they can listen to a whole segment of you and decide if they're going to come back or not. So a couple other things that I do that are really important. And of course, I'm going to do it because I am a social media expert. So the bottom line is you want to make sure that you're promoting your podcast on the different socials. So here's the thing. It's not just putting it up, the link up and having them go to that. You could literally take little snippets, put them up. You could take quotes from the interview or from your podcast. Like today, I'm going solo. In the last 2 weeks, I actually had guests on. So you can leverage your social media post to do so much more than just posting the link of your podcast. And I challenge you, if you are doing a podcast now, to make sure that you are being very creative with the way you do a podcast. So the other thing is make sure that you are getting noticed on the other aggregators, the different other places. Podcatchers is really good. I actually use Spreaker to host my podcast, and they send it out to a whole bunch of different places, such as iTunes. The other thing you could do is, and I didn't do this, but I heard some people talk about this, is running a giveaway contest. Contests are always kind of okay to do. However, you really want to make sure that any kind of gift you're giving has to do with what your profession is, I wouldn't, for instance, I do social media marketing. I'm not going to give a pizza. All right. It makes no sense. I just thought I'd say that. The other thing is that you want to make sure that you are doing everything you can to talk up your podcast. So if you have a weekly newsletter that goes out, make sure you tell people about it. Make sure that you are sharing it. If you're at Zoom networking groups, make sure you tell people about your podcast. And again, try to get other people to partner with you, which is really hard to do. And it's that's a job in itself. A couple weeks ago, actually, I had somebody on that talked about making sure that they always had their guests full. So once you start asking people, usually a lot of people aren't going to say no. I never had, when I asked somebody to be a guest on my podcast, I never have gotten a no. I want to just encourage you that if you're solo, especially if you're solo, to bring on a guest every once in a while because it brings a different synergy. So those are the couple things that I wanted to talk about. I just want to remind you all that it's so important that if you're just starting out with a podcast, make sure that you're very organized with it, because it could take over your life. And it is a big commitment. And it's not, something, again, it's not something to be taken lightly. So I just want a couple things that I want to just remind you of is just, if you're going to do a podcast, go full out. If you're going to get guests, make sure you make it as easy as possible for a guest. I love when I am a guest on a podcast and they give me everything. So those are just a few things. And then, I forgot one other thing. My newest little app on my phone, and I also do it on my computer too, it's an app called Otter. So a lot of, like, for instance, Rev, there's a transcription service called Rev, and they charge $1 a minute or something like that, or I don't know exactly. But I bought this app called Otter, and it transcribes really good. And I use it for note taking too. So when I'm on a call with somebody, I record it on my Otter, and it just gives me all the notes, and I'm able to pull out the things that I need afterwards and then delete the note. So what I'm saying is that what can add to your podcast is having a transcript, using some of the stuff, using it as little blurbs in your social media marketing, and it really could help. So I just thought I'd share that with you. I hope you are really considering doing a podcast, but being organized. If you need any help with that, if I can assist you with the social media marketing part of your podcast, I would love to do that. So you can get in touch with me at Lorraine@bizgonesocial.com. And you have a really great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Biz Gone Social podcast. Find us on Instagram @BizGoneSocial for extra tips. Check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, stay social.